Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Penn State Sports Night. I'm Charles Reiner, alongside Jacob Charis and Logan Barandis, and tonight we're going to be discussing the beginning of Penn State men's hockey season and how we think the rest of the year will unfold. After a hot 3-1 start, the Nittany Lions looked sharp in their opening series against LIU and Canisius. Jacob, let's start with you. What stood out to you most about these opening two series?
Well, the thing that stood out to me, first of all, Penn State, Guy Gadowski always talks about playing with an offensive identity, but to me, it was the defense. They were so active jumping up into the play and creating offense. Let's start with Christian Berger. He has 3 points. The entire D core combined right now has 10 points. DeNaples had 2 points. Simon Mack, a freshman, 2 points. Jimmy Dowd, 2 points. And Clayton Phillips, who's out right now, he has 1 point. So the D has been terrific on both ends of the ice, and they've been really good at breaking up plays and getting in passing lanes and also just creating more offense. And that's, my biggest takeaway from these past two series. And defense was always a concern for this team. Last year, they were giving up 3.68 goals against per game. And right now, they're giving up about 2 goals per game. So my takeaway so far has been the defense.
Well, let's transition then from the defense over to the offense. And just the overall depth of the offensive system so far has been the biggest takeaway for me. 9 total players have scored a goal, and at least 1 goal in these 4 games. And only 3 of them have scored multiple goals, and that has been Connor McEachran, Daniel Geniev, and Christian Sarlo, who have gotten all 3 of those 2-goal performances so far in this season. So the offensive depth that we've seen, we didn't really know what to make of it at the start of the season, because really Kevin Wall last year, who was doing the most of the offensive had most of the offensive production last year. So the fact that they're off to this great of a start is definitely very surprising, and with most other teams in the conference, like Michigan, like Minnesota, being run by really 1 or 2 players on the offense, the fact that Penn State does have that depth they can rely on, it's going to be huge when it comes to conference play.
Speaking of conference play, getting through the Big Ten will be no easy task for the Nittany Lions. Teams like Minnesota are returning players like Jack LaFontaine, who won the Richter Award for Nation's Best Goaltender. In Ann Arbor, the Wolverines are loaded with future NHL talent, which includes 4 of the top 5 picks in the 2021 draft. Jacob, what players do you think need to lead the way in order for the Nittany Lions to make it to the Big Ten tournament?
Well, I've said this many times before, and Logan alluded to it earlier. It's Kevin Wall. This man has to be a point-per-game player, and he has to be the driver of the Nittany Lions offense. He only has 1 goal right now, but that third line has really stood out. That line of Chase McLean, Daniel Geniev, and Ryan Kerwin, all of them have put up points. Let's start with McLean. He has been so much better this year. He's been a lot harder on pucks. That's the biggest thing that stood out to me. He only had 3 or 5 points in 19 games last year. Right now, he has 3, a goal and an assist. Ryan Kerwin, he also has a goal. And Daniel Geniev, who scored a phenomenal goal against Canisius off the toe drag into the backhand, he leads Penn State right now with 5 points, 2 goals, and 3 assists. So that third line in general has been very good. But like I said before, it's up to Kevin Wall to lead this offense for the Nittany Lions to have success going into the tournament.
I think we're really going to have to take a look at this goaltending duo of Oscar Audio and Liam Soulier. We saw these 2 players split time for a good amount of that last season in 2020, but it has been Audio kind of leading the way so far. He has a 2-1 record in these first 4 games, has made some phenomenal saves so far during that time, but Liam Soulier also played in that last game in the series against Canisius, and he played very well. Only allowed 2 goals and really played very impressive in that 5-2 win over Canisius to end out that series. So no matter who's going to be in net for this Penn State team, they played their best in 2019 when they won the regular season title in the Big Ten, when they had Peyton Jones dominating in net for that team. So whoever's going to be in net, it's going to be crucial for this team that they play with a large amount of success to win a good amount of games in conference.
And goaltending is always going to be a question with this team. It was last year too, and Audio kind of cemented himself as a legit number 1 for this team, not just in the Big Ten. Audio was 9-6-0 last year since Penn State's first win. So yeah, but again, goaltending is going to be a question. But I do agree with you. Soulier made his case for the starting job.
The expectations were high for the Nittany Lions after a successful 2019-2020 campaign, but unfortunately, Penn State finished the year with a 7-11 record. According to the coaches' polls, Penn State is expected to finish at number 5 in the Big Ten. So I guess my question for the both of you is, how do you think Penn State's going to fare this year?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's not going to be first like it was 2 years ago. So in my opinion, I think after Minnesota and Michigan, which I think is going to go 1-2, Minnesota at 1, Michigan at 2, it's really a track meet from there between Notre Dame, Wisconsin, and Penn State. I want to talk about Notre Dame. They acquired transfer goalie Matthew Galida from Cornell, and he was terrific. He played 3 seasons there. He didn't play last year because the Ivy League was canceled due to the pandemic. At his time as Cornell, he was 60, 15, and 9, 930 save percentage, and 1.64 goals against. That's really good, and he was the AC goaltender of the year in 2018. And goaltending was not the best for the Fighting Irish last year. Dylan St. Cyr transferred to Quinnipiac University over the offseason. So Notre Dame, I think, will get 3rd. Now, Wisconsin and Penn State, these 2 teams are really interesting because Wisconsin lost a ton of talent. They lost the Hobey Baker winner in Cole Caulfield. He went to the Montreal Canadiens. Dylan Holloway also went pro to the Edmonton Oilers. And also 2 guys, Ty Pelton-Bice and Lucas Weisbach. Those are 2 huge holes at centers. But for me, I have more questions about the Nittany Lions right now than I do Wisconsin. So right now, I'm going to say Wisconsin at 4 and Penn State at 5. Although I think Penn State does have a legitimate shot to get 3rd. And at the bottom, it's going to be Michigan State and Ohio State.
Jacob, I hate to do it, but I think I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I think there is a real shot for this Penn State team to get up to number 4 in the Big Ten this year. You take a look at Wisconsin. You talked about it before. Cole Caulfield is not there anymore, and he was a star, even more of a, if there is a word that can describe someone more than a star, I'd love to hear it.
He's elite.
He is elite. He was an elite player for this Wisconsin team, but now he's not there anymore, and we saw that in Wisconsin's first series against Michigan Tech, which I didn't even know they had a hockey team. I didn't know they were a school, and Wisconsin got swept by that team. So there were a lot of questions right now with Wisconsin that can't be answered yet, and Penn State, they've looked solid enough. They're 3-1 right now against some pretty good competition. I mean, Canisius, they played them very tough in that second series of the season. I think that Penn State has a definite shot to move up to 4, but you talked about Michigan, you talked about Minnesota. They're as close to locks for 1 and 2 as you can get. Whatever order you want to do it, you can flip-flop from there. Notre Dame's looking really good too. They have the Slaggert brothers, Landon and Graham there, who have kind of run things over on the Fighting Irish side of things. I think they're a good spot for 3, but I think Penn State has a real shot at number 4, especially with you don't know what's going on with Wisconsin right now.
The pucks have hit the ice and the skates have been sharpened, and we're fully underway in the 2021 and 2022 season. I'm really excited to have the fans back in Magoola, and it's going to be a lot of fun watching the season unfold. That'll wrap it up for our Slidey Puck discussion here tonight at the Willard Media Center. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Penn State Sports Night. For Logan Barandis, Jacob Charis, and all of us here at PSSN, I'm Charles Reiner, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for watching this edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also, follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.